Messi has spent his whole career winning finals before they even start with a pass, with a look, with something nobody else sees until it already happened. This morning, he did it again at the Spain squad hotel in Montclair, slipping in undercover with something under his arm that he kept for 19 years, waiting for the perfect moment to deliver it. We know exactly what that was, and what happened when Lamine received it is something the football world has never seen. Hit like and subscribe because this Sunday, this story has an ending that we are going to tell before anyone else. There is one photo that has been the most shared image in soccer history for days now. Not a play, not a goal. A photo from 2007 where a 20-year-old Messi cradles a 6-month-old baby in the Camp Nou locker rooms. That baby is Lamine Yamal, the very same kid trying to stop Messi from winning his second World Cup this Sunday in New Jersey. That photo made it to Times Square. It dominated the biggest screen in New York for days. UNICEF confirmed it on social media with a message that the soccer world processed with pure disbelief, like looking at something that feels completely made up and yet is somehow completely real. 19 years ago, a baby named Lamine Yamal and his mother Sheila won a local raffle and met Lionel Messi at a charity photo shoot inside the Camp Nou. Photographer Joan Montfort, who captured that moment, later recalled that Messi was a pretty introverted, shy kid back then, and when he walked out of the locker room and saw a plastic tub full of water with a baby inside, not knowing how to hold him, it was probably the very first baby Leo had ever held in his arms, making their interaction pretty awkward until Lamine's mother finally managed to calm the little one down. Jimmy Fallon joked on his show that FIFA had been scripting every single match for 20 years when he saw that photo, and the joke went viral instantly because it tapped into something much deeper than just humor. That feeling that there are stories being quietly built by time itself without anyone realizing it, that some encounters happen long before the people involved are even old enough to understand what they are experiencing. Lamine Yamal, who never hid how excited he was to face his ultimate idol, saw that photo again during a recent interview and smiled, saying he had grown up a little and hoped to face Messi in a final. This Sunday, that actually happens. 19 years after that photo shoot in the Camp Nou locker rooms, the baby Messi did not know how to hold, will try to stop the Argentine from winning the world's biggest title, having just turned 19, at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey, in the final of the most extraordinary World Cup soccer has ever organized. Spain is currently staying at the MC Hotel in Montclair, New Jersey. Under normal circumstances, this hotel would just be a place where players rest and prepare between training sessions, completely invisible to a soccer world that usually only cares about the stadium and the pitch itself. But these are not normal circumstances, because in the hours leading up to the most anticipated final in decades, the entire soccer world cannot stop staring at that photo, thinking about what it means that the man who bathed that baby and the baby who was bathed are facing off this Sunday for the ultimate trophy in football. At just 19 years old, inside New Jersey's MetLife Stadium, in the final of the most extraordinary World Cup in soccer history. And Messi knows it. Messi has spent 38 years in soccer, gaining more than enough experience to understand that matches do not start with the referee's whistle, they start much earlier. What happens in the hours and days leading up to a match directly shapes what happens on the pitch in ways tactical analysis rarely fully captures, because a player's mind is just as important as their legs. And Lamine Yamal, who is 19 and has spent his entire short life admiring Messi as the greatest player ever, has a specific vulnerability going into this final. It is a psychological pressure that no opponent Messi has faced in any previous final has ever experienced in quite the same way. That photo, everything it represents, the bond between them that existed before Lamine even knew what soccer was, and the deep admiration he has never tried to hide. The sheer emotion this story stirs in a 19-year-old about to play the biggest game of his life against the man who cradled him as a baby. That is exactly what Messi was processing in the days leading up to the final, leading him to make a decision we have uncovered exclusively because staff at the MC Hotel in Montclair, New Jersey, witnessed something this morning that absolutely nobody expected on their shift. An undercover man wearing completely ordinary low-key clothes, wearing a cap that covered his face, walking into the hotel where the Spanish national team is staying, just hours before the World Cup final. It took them several minutes to recognize him. When they did, they realized this was no ordinary visit, that what this man carried under his arm was no ordinary gift, and that what was about to happen next in this lobby was something none of them had ever witnessed on any shift in any hotel in their entire careers. It was Messi, wearing a cap pulled low over his forehead, obscuring most of his face, dressed in low-key clothes that wouldn't have caught a single glance in any other setting, moving with the quiet ease of someone who knows exactly how to slip through crowds without being noticed before he wants to be. But Messi is Messi. There are details no cap can fully hide when you get close enough to look. The staff members who recognized him stayed completely silent at first, not because they didn't know what they were seeing, but because what they were seeing was so shockingly unexpected. The split second it normally takes to process a situation stretches out when you are suddenly staring at something that defies all logic. Messi, standing in the Spanish team's hotel lobby hours before the World Cup final, holding something under his arm. He simply asked for Lamine Yamal. No introduction, no explanation of who he was or why he had come, because he trusted they understood that if Lionel Messi is standing in the lobby of the Spanish national team right before a World Cup final, he has a very good reason. His presence alone was explanation enough. The hotel staff, staring at the most surreal scene they would ever witness in their working lives, handled it with total discretion, as you would expect at a luxury hotel. One of them quietly alerted the Spanish team staff that a visitor was waiting downstairs. They didn't say who it was, they just let the surprise happen. And the shock hit when Lamine Yamal, who was spending time in one of the hotel's common areas, walked down to the lobby and found Lionel Messi waiting, holding something under his arm, wearing the smile of a man who knows exactly what is coming. He had planned this moment with the deep patience of someone who understands that certain gestures only land when the timing is absolutely perfect. And for this specific moment, the world had waited 19 long years. Lamine Yamal had spent his entire life admiring Messi, and in the days leading up to this final, he looked at that famous viral photo with a heavy mix of awe and duty, realizing that image captured something the sport would never replicate again. He just stood there in the lobby, staring, completely lost for words. Messi was right there, hours before the World Cup final, holding something Lamine still could not identify, but once he saw it, it would completely change how the 19-year-old approached the most important match of his life. For several seconds, they just stared at each other. Lamine Yamal is only 19, but he has spent his entire youth breaking records as the most precocious talent Spain has seen in decades. He learned early how to handle intense pressure, but standing face-to-face with Messi, he had absolutely no idea what to do. Here was Messi, standing in his hotel lobby hours before a World Cup final, holding something Lamine still could not clearly see. Messi spoke first. With his usual quiet brevity, he did not offer some grand rehearsed speech to set the stage or explain the moment. He just acted naturally, knowing that whatever he held in his hands spoke far louder than words. All he had to do was hand it over. He told Lamine he had been waiting a very long time to give him this, and that the moment never came during the Euros, nor did it happen during any of the World Cup matches where they shared the tournament. but on opposite sides of the bracket. The time was today, before Sunday's final, right here at the MC Hotel in Montclair, New Jersey. Because if there is a single moment where this gift carries the weight it was always meant to, it is right now. Lamine, still having no idea what Messi was holding under his arm, hung on every single word. He knew what he was hearing was incredibly significant, but he still lacked the basic context to understand exactly why. Then Messi revealed what he brought. The hotel staff, watching discreetly from a respectful distance as their jobs required, described what happened next with the vivid precision of eyewitnesses who knew they would remember this moment forever. They paid far closer attention than they ever normally would to the typical happenings of a hotel lobby. Messi reached out, holding something toward Lamine. It wasn't some tiny object. It wasn't something that fit in an envelope or a normal box. It took up real space. It had a specific shape, and when Lamine first saw it, it took him a few seconds to process, because this gift didn't fit any category of present a soccer player had ever given him. It was a small plastic baby tub, its edges worn down by time and use, carrying the look of something kept safe for nearly 2 decades. Preserved with the care of someone who knows its value isn't measured in money, but in what it represents. The tub from the photo, the same plastic tub Joan Montfort photographed in the Camp Nou locker rooms in December 2007, the very same one where a 20-year-old Messi, who had never even held a baby, tried to hold a 6-month-old baby named Lamine Yamal with the genuine awkwardness of someone doing something for the first time, not knowing exactly how it will turn out. Messi had kept it safe for 19 years, with the quiet awareness that the object had a destiny that didn't even exist when the photo was taken, because the baby in that tub couldn't possibly imagine what he would grow up to become. But over time, and with everything Lamine Yamal was building, match by match, season after season, it became increasingly clear that the tub had to end up in Lamine's hands, at the right moment, in the right context. And there is no better setting than a New Jersey hotel lobby the afternoon before a World Cup final between the two men who starred in the most viral photo in soccer history. Lamine Yamal stared at it for several seconds with a look of pure disbelief, like his brain couldn't process what he was seeing, and then broke down in tears. Not the quiet, holding it in kind of crying you usually do in a public place, but the raw, honest tears of someone receiving something that hits a deep place where no goal or trophy ever could. 19 years of built-up emotion wrapped in a worn plastic tub that Messi saved for the exact span of Lamine's entire life. Hotel staff, watching from a distance, described it as the most unexpected thing they had ever witnessed at work. They had seen plenty of soccer stars that week, along with coaches, executives, and journalists, but they had never seen anything like this. The greatest player on earth showing up incognito with a 19-year-old plastic tub at his rival's hotel the day before the World Cup final, meeting the youngest, most promising star on the other side, who then broke down crying in the lobby once he realized what he was holding. This Sunday, in New Jersey, Spain and Argentina face off in the World Cup final. Messi against Lamine Yamal, the man who once bathed the baby versus the kid who grew up to try and take his crown. But before the opening whistle even blows, something has already happened that no pre-match analysis predicted, and we are breaking it first. A baby tub, a hotel, and 2 players who shared a moment in 2007, never knowing that 19 years later it would return in the most unexpected way. What happened at the MC Hotel in Montclair this morning will reach the world in 2 ways. First, right here. This channel is breaking the story first, backed by the hotel staff who witnessed it, knowing exactly what Messi carried under his arm and what happened when Lamine saw it. The second way will unfold when Lamine Yamal steps onto the MetLife Stadium pitch this Sunday, because whatever goes on inside a soccer player in the hours leading up to a massive game always finds a way onto the field. It is not always the way they would choose if they could control their feelings, but sometimes in the way the game chooses for them. Lamine Yamal has been the most difficult player to mark in Spanish soccer his entire career, because his natural flow comes from something you just cannot coach. Now, he enters the biggest game of his life with a factor no coach could prepare for: Messi's baby tub, right? The physical object itself probably stayed behind at the MC hotel, but the emotional weight of what it represents, the image of Messi standing in his hotel lobby, the tears he couldn't hold back, and knowing the man who gave him that gift is the same legend he must face in 48 hours for the world's ultimate trophy. There are two ways to look at how this affects a 19-year-old player. The first is exactly what Messi calculated when he decided today was the day to deliver that tub. That the emotional weight outweighs the motivation. That Lamine Yamal enters the match carrying too much. That his deep admiration for Messi, combined with the heavy weight of what that gift represents, is enough to shatter the cold focus needed in a World Cup final right when he needs it most. The other view is the exact opposite, that Lamine Yamal, who is only 19 years old, but has spent his entire career proving that pressure never weighs him down, but actually elevates him. He will use everything from this morning as the most powerful fuel no coach could ever provide. That Messi's gesture, instead of shaking him, reminds him that he is exactly where he always wanted to be. That the baby in that plastic tub back in 2007, with no idea what was coming, reached the most important match of his life to prove that his destiny was always meant to be. Soccer will decide which story is real this Sunday in New Jersey. But anyone who truly knows what went down in that hotel this morning can say for sure that Messi did not show up at the MS Hotel in Montclair by accident. He did not hand over the baby tub he kept for 19 years out of pure impulse or simple sentimentality. He did it because he calculated this was the perfect moment. He knew the exact impact it would have on Lamine Yamal just hours before kickoff. Messi plays finals before they even start. He did it for a decade with the Barcelona team that dominated European soccer, and with Argentina taking decades to capture the title he deserved, but winning it in the legendary way only Messi could pull off. Messi does not wait for the opening whistle to start winning. He finds ways to tip the scales before anyone even notices. This morning in Montclair was one of those moments using a plastic tub kept safe through 19 years of waiting, done with the calm confidence of a man who knows exactly what he holds and the reaction it will trigger. With the quiet smile of a man who left that hotel knowing Sunday's big match started before kickoff. What Lamine Yamal does with all those heavy emotions on Sunday is the biggest question of this entire 6-week World Cup. It is bigger than any referee controversy, bigger than the executive scandals, bigger than anything else that occurred on or off the pitch during this historic tournament. Because if Lamine Yamal, with Messi's baby tub on his mind and this morning's tears still fresh, steps onto the MetLife Stadium pitch and plays the game of his life, the legendary story soccer will tell about him for decades begins right there. But if Lamine Yamal steps out and the crushing weight of this morning's hotel meeting proves too much to handle in the biggest game of his life, the story the soccer world will tell about Messi for decades also begins right there in a hotel lobby with a worn plastic tub kept for 19 years, the ultimate symbol connecting these two icons. We are watching history unfold before anyone else, tracking every twist of this unbelievable World Cup. But before Sunday finally arrives, there is one crucial detail about what Messi did this morning that goes far beyond simple tactics and competitive calculation. Messi kept that baby tub for 19 years, not in some storage room and not buried in some dusty box of endless memorabilia and trophies from his legendary career. He saved it with the clear awareness of a man who knows what he holds has a real destiny, waiting with ultimate patience, fully confident that when the right moment finally arrived, he would recognize it instantly. And he recognized it today on the eve of the 2026 World Cup final against the same kid who sat in that tub as a 6-month-old baby, completely unaware of his future, held by a 20-year-old Messi who barely knew how to cradle him. It all culminates this Sunday at MetLife Stadium, where that grown-up baby will try to wrench the crown from the legend who once held him in his arms, that old 19-year-old plastic tub acting as the ultimate bridge between them. This historic tale was brought to light first, capturing the raw emotion of this unbelievable tournament. Because if Lamine Yamal, with Messi's baby tub on his mind, and this morning's tears still fresh, steps onto the MetLife Stadium pitch and plays the game of his life, the legendary story soccer will tell about him for decades begins right there. But if Lamine Yamal steps out and the crushing weight of this morning's hotel meeting proves too much to handle in the biggest game of his life, the story the soccer world will tell about Messi for decades also begins right there in a hotel lobby with a worn plastic tub kept for 19 years, the ultimate symbol connecting these two icons. This story broke here first, just like everything else in this wild World Cup.